Shaquille O'Neal is among the most accomplished NBA players of all time, winning 4 NBA championships, a 3-time NBA Finals MVP, 1-time league MVP, and he's even an Olympic gold medalist. But that's not what this video is about. Shaq has been making waves for the last decade in the world of electronic music as a dubstep DJ known as Diesel. His passion for music and DJing blossomed at a young age, long before he was ever a world-famous NBA powerhouse. This is the story of Diesel. Shaquille O'Neal grew up in a crime-ridden area of Newark, New Jersey. His family was on food stamps, and his mom had him when she was just 17 and unmarried. His mom met his stepdad when he was a 1-year-old, and they married not much later. His stepdad joined the military, and he brought his militaristic disciplinary outlook to the household, which obviously played a role in Shaq's upbringing. Shaq considers his stepdad, who he calls the Sarge, to be his greatest mentor. It was actually his stepdad who encouraged him to play sports, but Shaq did have another interest as well: music. He would cut grass for money so that he could buy records, with the first record he ever purchased being a Curtis Blow album when he was around 8 to 10 years old. He shared this passion for music with his cousin named Kenny, and together they idolized hip-hop artists like DJ Quick, the Ghetto Boys, and NWA. Shaq's family eventually moved to San Antonio, which is where he went to a Public Enemy and LL Cool J concert when he was 14 years old. But what really caught his attention at the concert was the DJ, Terminator X. He spoke about this in a 2018 interview that he did with Cryo Man, where he said, "I saw how he played all the hot music and took over the crowd, and I was like, I could do that." So after the concert, he began cutting more grass, as well as walking dogs and selling lemonade so that he could save up $200 to purchase his own decks. Once he had enough money, he purchased a Pioneer mixer and 2 SL1200s from a pawn shop, and he got to work, often rushing home after school to practice mixing and scratching before his dad got home. By the time he was in high school, he was DJing local parties, and he even remixed his high school's official song and rapped over it with his basketball teammates. By his senior year, he was one of the top-ranked high school basketball players in the country, and he committed to play in college for Louisiana State University. During his 3 years at the university, he was a star on the court, becoming a 2-time All-American, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, as well as receiving the award for NCAA Men's Basketball Player of the Year in 1991 after becoming the first player to lead the SEC in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, and blocks. During college, any free time that he had away from the court was spent practicing on the turntables in his dorm room, as he had become pretty serious about DJing. He entered the 1992 NBA draft after his junior year of college, where the Orlando Magic selected him as the very first pick of the draft.
Let's go now to David Stern for the first selection of 1992.
The Orlando Magic selects Shaquille O'Neal from Louisiana State University.
Now, with millions of dollars of contracts and endorsements coming his way, he decided to use some of the money to buy a top-of-the-line turntable setup. After his first season with the Magic, he was awarded Rookie of the Year, and he was asked to be interviewed on the Arsenio Hall show. However, instead of just being interviewed, he asked if he could rap alongside the hip-hop group Fu-Schnickens.
Shaquille O'Neal and Fu-Schnickens! Yes, man!
This caught the attention of Jive Records, who offered Shaq a record deal the very next day. This led to his very first album being released in 1993, called Shaq Diesel, which hit number 25 on the Billboard charts and went platinum. 1 year later, he released his second record on Jive, called Shaq Fu De Return, which hit number 67 on Billboard and went gold, and it even had a feature from Redman. In the midst of all of this, he was a very popular player in Orlando, but he was never able to achieve what he wanted to with the franchise. He used music as a way to relieve stress during the season, often taking night drives from Orlando to Miami, where he would listen to music and just stare at the ocean to ease his mind before heading back to Orlando. His time with the Magic came to a close in 1996 when he was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. His rap career continued in Los Angeles, releasing 2 albums in 1996 and 1998 with Interscope Records, even landing features from high-profile artists like Jay-Z, Nas, and Mobb Deep. He even built a friendship with Biggie, who actually almost drowned one time when they were riding jet skis together, and Shaq had to rescue him out of the lake. They actually even made a track together one time, but it was never released, and Shaq actually owns the only copy of it in the world. During Shaq's first 3 years with the Lakers, he was enjoying his life outside of the league as a rapper, and he was even doing some acting on the side, but he had still yet to win an NBA championship. In 1999, the Los Angeles Lakers brought in a new coach, Phil Jackson. Jackson was previously the coach of the Chicago Bulls for over a decade, winning a total of 6 championships while coaching the greatest NBA player of all time, Michael Jordan. Phil Jackson was ready to replicate that success with the Lakers, and he needed every player to be all in. He put his foot down on Shaq's life on the side in the entertainment business, telling him no more acting and rapping, and Shaq complied. It paid off as the Lakers went on to be the most dominant team in the league, winning 3 consecutive NBA championships from 2000 to 2002, being led by the league's most unstoppable duo of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. A couple years later, in 2004, Shaq was traded to the Miami Heat, where he would go on to win one last NBA championship in 2006 before retiring from the league in 2011.
The Miami Heat, they've done it! They win their first championship in franchise history!
3 years after his retirement, Shaq attended his first ever electronic music festival, the now defunct TomorrowWorld, which took place in Chattahoochee Hills, Georgia. Upon his arrival at the festival, he immediately realized that he had never seen anything like it. Over the weekend, he witnessed hundreds of thousands of people bouncing to the music of legends like Skrillex and Tiesto, and it was the first time that he was able to find that Game 7 energy outside of the basketball court. He immediately knew that this was something he wanted to pursue, as it was the next logical step in his longtime passion for DJing. When the festival was over, he was walking back to his car alongside the festival's marketing manager, and Shaq told him, "I think I'm going to DJ this thing next year." At first, the marketing manager just thought he was joking, but Shaq kept in touch with him, and they asked him to send a sample mixtape to see if it was something that he was actually capable of pulling off. So after hearing his mixtape, they were impressed, but the marketing manager was still nervous about booking him because there is a huge difference between making a mixtape at home and playing in a live setting at the helm of a powerful sound system in front of thousands of people. Shaq told them not to worry because he got a double-double in every Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and this was his next Game 7. They agreed to take the risk, and they booked him for TomorrowWorld the following year in 2015. When it was announced that Shaq would be DJing at an EDM festival under his longtime moniker Diesel, many people thought it was a joke or a marketing gimmick, not realizing that he had been DJing for nearly 3 decades by that point. After he performed his set, he received a ton of praise online for how well the performance went. Granted, there was some criticism from people who thought he wasn't deserving of the slot, but he was already used to criticism from his time in the NBA anyways, and the supporters proved that he could actually have a future in this. It's also worth noting that this was not his first ever live DJ performance as Diesel either. He DJ'd at some Mickey Avalon shows in 2007 during the NBA offseason, as well as 2 other shows in 2009 in Seattle and Orlando. 1 year after his performance at TomorrowWorld, he was featured as a rapper on a Cryoman track called My Squad's Lit. From there, he began to get more bookings over the next few years, playing Kabu Festival in 2017, followed by Botanica Music Festival the following year, as well as shows with Cash Cash in DC and Ty Dolla $ign and Big Boy in Los Angeles. But it wasn't until the fall of 2018 when he really made his presence known in the EDM world, when he played a set at the second year of Lost Lands, followed by Breakaway Nashville and EDC Orlando. In 2019, he got booked for even more festivals like Lollapalooza and Hard Summer, and he even played at the world-renowned Tomorrowland Festival in Belgium, where a video of him moshing with fans in the crowd went viral. He also started throwing his own events that year, the first of which being branded as Shaq's Fun House, which was a 2-day Super Bowl party leading up to Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. He also began releasing music that year alongside some of the most prolific producers in electronic music, including the track Bang with Lil Jon and Nightmare, also known as the Larry Bird of EDM, as well as the single Taken Over with Nitty, formerly Nitty Gritty, who is also one half of Side Piece. Early in 2020, he played 3 more shows in Boston, New York, and Aspen, and 3 more tracks were debuted that year, including Tear It Up with Eliminate, Shut Up with Wookie and Skrilla King, and Welcome to the Playhouse with Steve Aoki. In the second half of 2021, he was back to playing more shows, plus festival appearances at Milwaukee's Summerfest and EDC Las Vegas, one of the most renowned festivals in all of electronic music. He also released yet another track that year, this time with Blood for the track Posterize. In 2022, his touring ramped up to a whole new level, playing a total of 22 shows, including the debut of his new event called Shaq's Bass All-Stars. He also released 3 new tracks that year with Freaky, Sultan, and 4B, and he closed out the year on New Year's Eve with yet another of his own events, this time being called the Shaqtacular Spectacular. By 2023, Diesel was bigger than ever, playing sets at Bonnaroo, Electric Forest, the Indy 500, a return to Lost Lands, plus a new edition of Shaq's Bass All-Stars. He also decided to make a return to his hip-hop roots that year when he released King Talk with Blackway and Coco, but his biggest release of the year came in August when he released his debut Diesel album, Guerrilla Warfare. It features collaborations with a stacked lineup of dubstep heavyweights like Crankdat, Company, Sultan, and many more. So far through 2024, he released a collab with Level Up, plus he also made some more rap cameos on tracks with Nitty in 1999, Write the Future, as well as Sullivan King and Company. The next edition of Shaq's Bass All-Stars made its way to Buffalo in August, and the most notable Shaq's Bass All-Stars event is set to take place on October 27th at the legendary Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado. In the past, Diesel has been sometimes lumped into the category of celebrity DJs, but it's an unjust generalization as his passion for music is something he has carried with him throughout his entire life, and he was DJing for nearly 30 years before ever setting foot on some of the world's biggest stages. It's also worth noting that he plays festivals for free, as he has been quoted saying, "I don't get paid, I do it for the sport of bass music." It's clear that he's extremely passionate about bass music, and he does a great job of uplifting up-and-coming producers by using his brand and events to give them the spotlight rather than taking it all for himself. Whether or not you're a fan of Diesel, the positive impact that he's had on the scene can't be denied.
My dick hit the mixer again.